Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another session for the 2025 CLIA Global Cruise Line webinar series. We're thrilled to be joining you today with Atlas Ocean Voyages. My name is Johanna de Guzman, and I am the Manager of Industry Relations for North American Travel Trade Membership here at CLIA. Before we dive into today's presentation, I will quickly cover a few housekeeping items. Our presentation today will run for approximately 30 to 35 minutes. We encourage you to engage actively by submitting your questions through the webinar's questions module, and we will get to them at the conclusion of the presentation during the live Q&A session. For those of you who might miss today's live session or want to review the content later, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on CLIA's YouTube channel, CLIA Global. It is my pleasure to introduce your presenter, Justin Roland Bremkamp. Justin is a sales support manager for Atlas Ocean Voyages. With 20 years of experience in the cruise industry, from onboard roles to shoreside support, including travel agent partnership and sales, he has a strong drive toward agent engagement and sales, holding roles at Celebrity Cruises, Azamara Club Cruises, and Dream Vacations, amongst others. Justin is passionate about working with travel professionals across the U.S. to help boost luxury expedition cruise sales and promote Atlas's unique yacht-style cruising brand. And with that, take it away, Justin.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you here today. For the purposes of our presentation, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off so that we can just focus right on the presentation here. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about Atlas Ocean Voyages. Now, Atlas Ocean Voyages, we are an expedition company. And so our team was tasked with figuring out how do we harness what makes an expedition a transformative journey and explore other parts of the world in the same way. And we came up with three elements. First, by nature, an expedition is educational. In the polar regions, you'll learn about animals like whales, fish, penguins, and birds, lots and lots of birds. And you'll learn about weather patterns, the environment, sustainability, and really gain an appreciation for the explorers that came before us. An expedition is also immersive. At Atlas, we cater to the active traveler who enjoys immersing themselves in the people and cultures they visit. Our expeditions with late night departures and overnight stays are programmed for the curious who seek to learn more and return changed. But to be changed, we need to be inspired. That's the third expedition essential, and it is intangible because to be inspired is an individual journey. So what we do is we set the stage for your clients to be inspired by offering life-changing travel experiences that stimulate personal growth. So where do we sail? Well, the destinations here on screen now are where Atlas Ocean Voyages sail. We also have one additional destination that's new on our upcoming itineraries, and that is we're adding the east coast of Canada to our existing itineraries for the Arctic and cultural. Now, at Atlas, we don't just dabble in expedition, we are expedition. So Atlas Ocean Voyages is a year-round expedition company. No matter where we travel in the world, we program our voyages with an experience that is educational, immersive, and inspired. Now, we offer three types of expeditions, and that's depending on where we are in the world. Whether it's in the polar regions, Antarctica, or up north in the Arctic and the Svalbard and Greenland regions, or on an Epicurean expedition where we have replaced our polar expedition team with an Epicurean expedition team, and they are made up of a guest chef, a local vintner, and gastronomic experts that help bring this region of the world to life in both taste and sight. Or our third expedition type, which is a cultural expedition. These voyages visit parts of the world that lend themselves to more historical and archaeological experiences. Atlas Ocean Voyages brings you year-round expedition voyages in an intimate, yacht-style, all-inclusive luxury experience. There we go. So the amenities listed on the screen now are included with every voyage on Atlas Ocean Voyages. Each type of expedition, whether it's polar, Epicurean, or cultural, has additional inclusions as well. So let's talk first about our polar expeditions. So included exclusively on our polar expeditions, you'll start your journey with us with a one-night pre-expedition hotel stay. and I'll use Antarctica as an example. So in Antarctica, clients would make their way down to Buenos Aires in Argentina, where they would have their one-night pre-expedition hotel stay. Early the next morning, a private charter jet service would be included as well with private ground transfers. So you'd transfer over to the hotel and fly down to Ushuaia in Argentina to start your first bit of your voyage, which is your cultural immersion to the Tierra del Fuego National Park in Ushuaia. Once that's over, you move over to the vessel and start your journey down to the White Continent. On board, you will have enrichment lectures and destination briefings. Your shore landings are led by expert field guides. Your escorted sightseeing safaris by Zodiac are included. The polar plunge, where you get the opportunity to jump from the side of the vessel into the frigid Arctic or Antarctic waters. Those beautiful neon green vests that you see in the picture there are included as part of the voyage, and they're there for guests to use and to take home. And then also the use of knee-high boots, so that when you're getting on and off the Zodiacs, you're staying dry. So, talking about the polar regions in Antarctica, we've got a couple different itineraries out there for everyone. First is our Antarctic Discovery itinerary. So, this one is a Ushuaia round trip itinerary. Again, you would start the expedition in Buenos Aires overnight, and then fly down to Ushuaia, where you board the ship, and then or board the yacht rather, and then you would travel down to the Antarctic Peninsula, and then at the end of the voyage, you would sail 2 days back across the Drake to Ushuaia for the included return charter flight back to Buenos Aires, and that's where the expedition would end, and guests can either choose to extend their stay in Argentina or the local countries, or head home. Our next one is crossing the Antarctic Circle, and this one is our 11-night voyage. That happens November, December, January, February, basically throughout the season. This one again, you start off with the overnight in Buenos Aires, fly down to Ushuaia. You would get to travel down through the South Shetland Islands, down to the Antarctic Peninsula, and weather permitting, cross the Antarctic Circle. Now, everything in Antarctica is weather permitting because it's just so unpredictable and can change on a dime that we list all of our itineraries as captain's choice. And we do that with purpose so that if there's inclement weather, if there's not the ability to make a landing in a particular destination, our captains will refer to other captains that are sailing in the area, and see what the best spots are, best wildlife, least amount of weather, and really make the best choices for landings and zodiac safaris. We typically will get a question about the guests that may be more prone to seasickness. So with that, we do offer a Drake Express option, and that's where clients can fly down to Punta Arenas in Chile, where they would then join their charter flight and fly down to King George Island, which is already down in Antarctica. So they would have the opportunity to either fly both ways across the Drake instead of, you know, hoping that it's the Drake Lake and not the Drake Shake, or they can also choose to fly one way and sail the other way. Now, as you can see, the dates there at the bottom right, we've only got a couple of those each season. So if you have clients that are interested in flying across the Drake rather than sailing across, the idea is to book them as early as possible so that there is good availability, and the prices are still low because our prices do increase over time. All right, so those are a couple of samples of our Antarctica itineraries. Next, we've got our Arctic itineraries as well. These are also considered polar expeditions, so those specific inclusions are also the same. This first itinerary is going to be your Viking Legends. It's a 10-night itinerary on the World Voyager. This one travels from Kangerlussuaq to Reykjavik. So Kangerlussuaq is in Greenland. And so with this one, you would actually have free included private charter jet service to Kangerlussuaq because it is kind of off the beaten path destination. So we would include that as part of the inclusions for this itinerary, and then return home from Reykjavik in Iceland. Next, you've got your Longyearbyen round trip itinerary. That's an 11-night journey on the World Voyager next year in 2026. So you'll see here, you don't have any specific ports of call listed out here, and that is because this is going to be a captain's choice itinerary. The master of the vessel will find the best locations to land, see the most gorgeous sights, and see the most wildlife as well. The next one is the Wilds of the Arctic. Again, this one is also a Longyearbyen round trip. It's a little bit of a shorter voyage, either 6 or 7 nights. Again, this one's all captain's choice, and both of those itineraries that are round trip from Longyearbyen have included round trip private charter jet service between Oslo, Norway, and Longyearbyen. All right. So those are some examples of our polar itineraries. Let's take a look at our Epicurean expeditions. Now, Epicurean expeditions are all about the food, wine, and culinary in the Mediterranean. So we don't really have a need for heavy parkas and things like that. So what we'll do is we'll switch the inclusions, we'll switch up our expedition team, and we'll bring on top chefs, master vintners, local gastronomic experts from the area. So you'll see on board culinary presentations and wine tastings, cooking demonstrations and cuisine tastings, different events hosted by a taste and traditions expert on board on selective expeditions, of course. We've got something called the Jasper Grill Dining Experience at 7 Aft Grill. So the 7 Aft Grill, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. It's an open air steakhouse that we have on board, and it gives guests the experience of a true flame grilled steak experience at sea. So it's a high end steakhouse experience. The thing with this one, it is on our open deck by the pool on deck 7 Aft. So therefore, in our cold water itineraries, it's not really available. However, it is available on our warm water itineraries. So it is, of course, weather permitting, but we'll talk more about that in detail later. And then, of course, we'll include the Atlas Ocean Voyages backpack instead of the parka. So the backpack, it's actually a really nice backpack. I use it all the time. It's got a section for the computer, a nice padded computer section, and a bunch of other pockets and things that you're able to bring it offshore with you when you're in the Mediterranean, so that you can buy souvenirs and carry them easily. And it's a great keepsake to take home with you. So in the Mediterranean is where we do our Epicurean expeditions. And so let's just take a look at a couple of these here. So the first one I want to highlight, it's not only because it's a great itinerary, but it is also because it is our President's Cruise this year. This cruise is going to be hosted by James Rodriguez, our President and CEO. This itinerary runs from Barcelona all the way through to Athens, visiting lots of unique ports of call on the way. This one's happening July 28th of this year. So if you're interested in joining, it's on the World Navigator starting on July 28th. And it's going to be a great time with lots of unique programming and some keepsake giveaways. Next one, we have Legends of Antiquity, traveling between Lisbon to Barcelona. This one's a 10-night itinerary in September of this year. Again, you can see lots of great ports of call, smaller locations that we can't get into in larger ships. Our yachts can get right in there. And then our next one, Adriatic Sunsets from Venice to Rome, 10 nights. Looking great on that itinerary. And let's move over to cultural expeditions. So with cultural expeditions, we'll include a cultural immersion, and those are actually included on every expedition type. Every departure that we have includes a cultural expedition for everyone on board the ship. We will include enrichment programs and workshops on select expeditions, authentic local experiences and onboard events on select expeditions, that Jasper Grill dining experience at 7 Aft Grill, and the Atlas Ocean Voyages backpack. So some itineraries that we would consider our cultural itineraries. First is our Gaelic Horizons itinerary. This one goes round trip from Dublin, and it's a circumnavigation of Ireland. It is 7 nights, lots of great itinerary stops for our guests. Next one, we've got our Scottish Legends. This one actually starts in Dublin, travels up to Belfast, around UK, and then over to Amsterdam, where the voyage completes. And of course, our places and monuments. So places and monuments starting from London, ending in Copenhagen. Yes, standing in Copenhagen. Now, I want to point out we do call in London, and I know a lot of ships or a lot of cruise lines out there say, yes, we call in London, and they're in Southampton or and they're in a different port of call. When we say we call in London, we are actually docked on the Thames River next to the Tower Bridge. We're right central in the heart of the action. So that's definitely something that's great about the size of our yachts. And we'll talk more about those shortly. Actually, we'll talk about those next. So let's talk a little bit about our fleet. We'll talk about our yachts and the staterooms, as well as we'll highlight some of the public spaces to give you an idea of what the atmosphere is like on board. All three of our yachts are sisters, so they're identical in size and offerings, but each have uniquely different themes on board. So each one is just under 10,000 gross tons, has a total of 95 staterooms and suites, and has less than 200 guests on board. So our first yacht was the World Navigator. She was launched in August of 2021, and her theme on board is a classic ocean liner theme, highlighted by darker wood decor, beautiful bold hues for a very rich and elegant look throughout the yacht. Our second vessel was the World Traveler. She was christened in November of 2022 and has a La Dolce Vita theme on board. So there's light woods and a bright, colorful palette of yellows and blues throughout. And finally, we have the World Voyager. So World Voyager joined us in November of 2023, and she showcases a Nordic chic theme on board with lighter and mixed tone woods and a slightly more subdued color palette to give you a more relaxed feel on board. So as you can see from our deck plans here, our yachts are nice and intimately sized, with the majority of our staterooms happening on deck 5 or deck 6. So let's talk a little bit about our accommodations. So all of our accommodations include chilled craft cocktail or sparkling wine welcome, in-room minibar. Your stateroom attendant or butler will stock those with your preferences. Our room service menu is available from our always available menu, and that's 24 hours a day included. In the room, you'll have an espresso maker with Nespresso coffees and Kusmi teas. Still and sparkling water delivered in reusable glass bottles at night. Your stateroom attendant will place bottles of either still or sparkling water for you. We use glass bottles because we're trying to reduce as many single-use plastics as we can. So we use glass refillable bottles, as well as we provide guests on board with an aluminum water bottle to use throughout their voyage, as well to take home with them as a souvenir. And we'll have water refill stations all throughout the yacht. Terry bathrobes and slippers are available to use, as well as sumptuous Egyptian cotton bed linens and complimentary use of binoculars. So our suites, we've got three categories of suites on board. Our Navigator Suite, 465 square feet. Discovery Suite, 445 square feet. And our Journey Suite, 382 square feet. Each features both a bedroom and a living room with exits out onto an extended 100 square foot balcony. Most suites can accommodate up to 3 guests and all include butler service. Now, looking at our balcony accommodations, the majority of our accommodations on board are balcony. We've got two types. Um, the first type is the most popular typically, and that's our veranda stateroom. Those are the B1 and the B2 categories. They're 270 square feet in total and include 52 square feet of that dedicated to the balcony. The next type of balcony accommodation is our Horizon staterooms, and those are A1, A2 category. These rooms are also a total of 270 square feet, but that 52 square feet that was dedicated to the veranda is now part of the interior of the room. And you'll see that black line across the center of the window. The top half of that actually drops down and allows you to take in the sights and fresh air while also giving you the extra space in your stateroom. So it's a balcony when you want it to be. Now, our lead-in price point is our Adventure Ocean View stateroom, and that includes all the same great amenities as our other categories. But this one is 183 square feet, and it features a large picture window. You won't see a lot of these on sale for us, especially in the polar regions, because we'll use a lot of those for our expedition staff, our expedition team. So You won't see a lot of those out there, but they are available on select voyages. So let's take a look at some of the public spaces here. So our main auditorium is located on deck 4 all the way forward. And that's where all of our enrichment lectures, expedition presentations, and safety briefings take place. The Atlas Lounge is one of the 2 main lounges on board, and it becomes a popular gathering place during both daytime and evenings. Paula's Pantry is our specialty coffee and tea shop, and it serves grab-and-go restaurant food when you don't feel like a full sit-down meal. Paula's Pantry offers made-to-order coffees, teas, smoothies, along with pastries, muffins, and parfaits in the morning. And then in the afternoon, small sandwiches and fresh baked cookies are available throughout the day. Here's a little tip that you can either use yourself when you get on board or tell your clients. Let them know that the fresh baked cookies that are there are really, really good if you ask them to warm them up. Oh, a nice hot chocolate after you've been out in a polar plunge with a warm, fresh baked cookie. Perfect. So this is a nice view of our main dining room. All of our guests will have most of their meals there, and we feature regionally themed different menus every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with our always available classic fare. Alfresco dining is available during our warm water itineraries. You can eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner out there, and you can enjoy the same dining room menu and the same attentive service, but with a lovely view out on deck. We have a sea spa that's sponsored exclusively by L'Occitane, and the spa has 2 different treatment rooms, a sauna and a relaxation room. We do have a fitness studio for those on board that are fitness minded. They include a few workout machines and a full set of free weights. We also have a running track outside on deck 8, along with stationary workout stations that are situated around the outer decks, and we'll see that shortly. The Dome Observation Lounge is located all the way forward on deck 7, just above the bridge. This lounge offers gorgeous views during scenic sailings and features 270-degree floor-to-ceiling windows, along with a skylight dome where the lounge gets its name. It's a nice, quiet nook during the day, but can be quite a lively place in the evenings, and as we often feature cabaret-style entertainment and music throughout the night. Our pool deck. Now, I mentioned before that all 3 of our yachts are exactly the same, and that's not 100% true. I believe this photo is of the World Navigator. The World Voyager and the World Traveler have 2 hot tubs, where the Navigator only has 1. So, but other than that, the ships structurally are basically the same. So our open pool deck is typically open only during our warm water cruises, and of course, as weather permitting. Now, the 7 aft grill, we talked briefly about this before, but you get the true uh, flame charred steak experience out at sea because of this Jasper grill. The Jasper grill is an open flame grill, however, it's fully encased. So with the Jasper grill, we have a very limited space as far as how many steaks we can prepare in an evening. And so with that, we're only able to accommodate 18 guests per night at this venue. It's a very small venue. So keep in mind that because of the limited space available, we recommend and we require reservations for this venue to be made. If you have guests that are going on a warm water itinerary, you can let them know as soon as they get on board the vessel. They can make the reservations for the 7 aft steakhouse experience. There's no additional charge for that. We just ask for reservations so that we can make sure to accommodate as many guests as possible throughout the voyage. Okay, so no charge, but because of the limited space, we require a reservation. And no, on this one, reservations cannot be made in advance. They have to be made once the guests get on board the ship. All right, moving on to the next. We've got a running track that's up on deck 8, and there at the bottom right corner of the image, you'll see one of those stationary workout stations, and those are located throughout deck 8 open deck. And the last public space I want to talk about is the water's edge. Water's edge is right at the very bow of the ship on deck 5, and it's an open area for all of our guests to enjoy when we're not out at open sea. This area here is great for viewing, especially when we're sailing through like narrow passages and things like that. One of the unique features here, toward the bottom there, you see the white space. Well, all around that white space, from when you're actually there in person is a bench that you can sit on. And when you're in a cold water itinerary like Arctic or Antarctic, that bench is heated, so it helps you stay a little bit warm while you're out enjoying the beauty of nature out there. So yes, our yachts are gorgeous, and we absolutely would love the opportunity to welcome your clients or you on board soon. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what's new with Atlas Ocean Voyages. First off, we've got our Book on Board and Save More. This is our onboard booking program. The best way for your guests to get the best savings for their next Atlas Ocean Voyages voyage or expedition is to make the deposit on board. The guests will get an additional 5% off from other promotions, so they'll be able to get, again, the best pricing savings. The deposit now, book later is the way that it's booked. So they would make their deposit on board. They will have a year to make their reservation for their next expedition, and then they would have 2 years from the deposit to actually travel on the expedition. So it's very flexible. It's very forgiving, and then guests can choose over time which exact expedition they want to join. We also, oh, one other thing, I'm so sorry, I'm going to go back to that. One other thing about booking on board, we will always give the travel advisor the credit and commission for those onboard bookings that are made. So make sure you follow up, double check to follow up with your clients when they return to see if they booked on board. Um, Sometimes the invoice doesn't necessarily make it all the way to you, so you want to just double check so that way you're not missing out on those open bookings there. Next, we've got our Military Edge program, so that any qualifying military or retired military active duty or retired are eligible for up to 20% off on select voyages. So they would be able to take advantage of that. Um, Current or retired with proof, so either a DD 214 or military spouses, things like that, are eligible for this. Yes, it is also available for Canadian and UK militaries. So we would just need to be able to have that proof of that, but and then they would be eligible to use that 20% up to 20% discount on multiple sailings. All right, next is our groups program, Sell More and Earn More. And we call it that because we have something that's beneficial to you, incremental commission. So you book 1 to 5 staterooms, you would earn your traditional commission amount. After your fifth stateroom, so once you book your sixth stateroom, your total group goes up to 18% commission. And then once you book your 11th stateroom in that group, your commission for the group goes up to 20%. So you have the ability to earn more depending on how much you book into your group. And then you can also earn 2 tour conductor credits, and that's factored on the most frequently booked category of stateroom. Your clients for groups with Atlas Ocean Voyages will earn a $200 per person onboard credit, as well as a complimentary bottle of champagne in the stateroom. And then if there's at least 10 guests, we'll arrange a private cocktail party for your group alone. All right. Next, you may have heard about our new promotion in the marketplace, Explorer's Choice. So Explorer's Choice allows guests to choose either one amenity if they're booking into a stateroom or 2 amenities if they're booking into a suite. So you'll see the 3 amenities up on the screen. The first one is the air credit of up to $2,000 per stateroom. Now, the air credit is designed to allow guests to have a little bit more flexibility to book their airfare on their own. And so therefore, we will apply this up to $2,000 as a discount toward the cruise fare. So that is a $2,000 up to $2,000 savings. Your hotel or land package. So it would depend on the itinerary and the availability, but you would be able to either book onto a hotel and or a land package. Again, it just depends on that itinerary, and you can talk to the voyage specialist that you book through in order to find the details of that one. And then our third one is our enhanced unlimited Wi-Fi package. Now I can vouch for the Wi-Fi on board. I was just on board to Antarctica in March. I was able to stream video. I was able to do my FaceTime video calls. I was able to post on Facebook and scroll on TikTok. So I'm fully behind the internet package. Do keep in mind, yes, although it is great quality, it is still satellite. So the the connectivity can be spotty, though it's pretty strong from my experience. Next, exclusive for you, our travel advisor partners, especially in honor of Travel Advisor Appreciation Month. We have the ability for you to earn a $500 gift card for you, and you can utilize that as a closing tool. So you could give all or some of that back to your clients. You can keep it all for yourself, but this is applicable to select sailings for the 2025 Arctic season. So through about September, October. And then you can always find the details from the flyers we're going to send out after the webinar here for you. Next, we've got our 26-27 Antarctica Expedition complimentary upgrade promotion going on as well. So with this one, guests can save up to $10,400 with the additional bonus savings. But on this one, guests are able to book for the Adventure Ocean View price and move into either an A1 or B1, either the balcony or the Horizon staterooms. Or if they book a deluxe stateroom, they're able to move up into a suite. So there's definitely upgrade opportunities there, and that's running through June 30th. You can find all the details about what we're talking about here in Atlas Advisor Central. This is our travel advisor portal. And so in Atlas Advisor Central, you'll find our online booking engine, different sales tools, training materials, marketing information, as well as benefits for you, the travel advisor, like reduced rates and seminars at sea when they're available. And so with that, I want to say thank you so much for all of your partnership. We really, really hope to have the opportunity to welcome your clients on board and create their magical and memorable experience for them. So with that, Joanna, do we have any questions we could throw out?
Justin, thank you so much for that great presentation. I want to let you know that throughout the presentation, you are getting a lot of heart reactions and
Oh,
clapping
good.
emojis. So attendees are very excited about everything new coming with Atlas Ocean Voyages. We do actually have a question. If you want to go back to that slide where it shows the three options that they have to pick from
Sure.
once they book.
Explorer's choice.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so there are a few questions around this. I know that you mentioned the $2,000 credit that will
Mhm.
go towards the stateroom. So we did have a question here. In one of the brochures, it said anywhere between 1,500 air credit, not the 2,000. So is there a difference depending on the type of stateroom that gets booked, that number will change for the air credit?
It depends on where the expedition is traveling. So
Okay,
for polar expeditions for the Antarctica 25-26 season, which is starting in about November, that's going to be $1,000 per guest or $2,000 per stateroom. For the Arctic in 25 or 26, it's $750 per guest, so up to $1,500 per stateroom. For Epicurean expeditions in Mediterranean, right? So 2025 or 2026, it's $500 per guest. So it's a total of $1,000 per stateroom. And then cultural expeditions for 25 and 26 is also $500 per guest. So a max of 1,000 per stateroom. So it does vary based on the expedition type and when you're traveling.
perfect. And then you'll be happy to know that a lot of our attendees today are asking, where can we get brochures? How can I learn more? So if they're new to Atlas Ocean Voyages and they're new to the brand and this is their first introduction, is there somewhere that they can go where they can learn more and just become experts about Atlas?
Absolutely. So the our Travel Advisor portal, Atlas Advisor Central, is going to be a great resource for this. Within Atlas Advisor Central, you'll have lots of training information. Now, our training materials right now are a little bit they're not as in depth as we want them to be. But have no fear, we're in the process of developing a much more in-depth and more robust training program for you. So that's going to be rolling out here in the near future. But for right now, we've got some basic training stuff there. If you're wanting to find out about brochures and whatnot, you can either order that through our website, or even better, especially if you're just getting introduced to Atlas Ocean Voyages, um, reach out to your regional sales director. They're the person that's going to be your go-to person when you need, that little last bit of oomph, that little information to help, overcome some type of objection to get somebody booked. So you want to start that relationship up with them. Plus, they'll be able to also order brochures to be sent directly to you as well. So those are two good resources for brochures. Definitely reach out to your regional sales director. And then also take a look at the advisor benefits section, because in advisor benefits, that's going to be your seminars at sea, where you'll be able to get on board at a significantly reduced rate and experience the phenomenal product yourself. We also have reduced rate for travel advisors as well, where you don't necessarily have to go to any trainings or whatnot on board, but it also allows you a reduced rate to get on board and experience the brand.
And thank you for sharing all that information, Justin. And just to be clear, within that portal, they will be able to have or find the contact information for their specific BDM, correct? For their
Yes, that's
area.
going to be under sales tools. So it's got a map of all the regional sales directors and their contact information, email, and phone number.
Okay, perfect. So for those of you in the chat who are asking, more specific questions about a client or a booking that you've already got going and it's already in the system, if you still have questions, go ahead and create that or reach out to your BDM, and they'll be able to assist you. Just moving on here. Thank you, by the way, for mentioning the special military discount that Atlas Ocean Voyages offers. I know that that is a question that we get a lot of times during these webinars. We did have a specific question, but I think it might be good just to answer it. For
Sure.
that military discount, is it military, retired, active? Is it from, like if it's from a broad military branch, or is it just strictly for the United States military?
So that's an interesting question. We're absolutely willing to work with anybody. So even if it's not just U.S., we do welcome Canadian military as well as military from UK. But if you have clients that are outside of those three, and there's a way that we can work together, we want to. So let us know, and we'll see how we can make it work for you.
Great. That is the answer that we love to hear, Justin. Thank you so much. And I know that you mentioned and that you kind of touched on your trip in March when you went to Antarctica, but we do have some time here, and I think it would be good to kind of get a firsthand experience or a recall of you as a sailor or as a client on board. Could you talk about your favorite thing to do or your favorite activity that was offered by Atlas, both on the ship and then on shore?
Wow. Okay, you put me on the spot there.
Sure.
No, no, don't be sorry at all. This is great. So my highlight for being ashore in Antarctica was probably when we did camp overnight on the ice. So we went out. The itinerary that we were on was the very last itinerary of the season. So when we say weather permitting and you've got to be flexible, we really mean that. So uh, when I went down, my voyage started on March 14th. So we got to Buenos Aires on March 13th. We did our thing in Buenos Aires, which was wonderful. Flew down to Ushuaia. We were supposed to actually skip our tour of the Tierra del Fuego because of the weather, and just head straight down to the Antarctic Peninsula. Then they did a reassessment, and it was decided that we were going to actually stay overnight in Ushuaia and then travel down the next day, which, okay, it saved us some severe Drake shake, which is wonderful. But the best part about that was the fact that we were able to then in the morning tour through the Tierra del Fuego National Park. We had a little bit more time, I think, than if it was the regular itinerary. And we got to see a ton of wildlife and things before we ever even got on board the ship to head down to Antarctica. So because the weather, we didn't know whether we were going to get to do camping or not. So we, in the spirit of adventure, the spirit of expedition, and the spirit of flexibility, we got an all call at about 11:30 a.m. on the day that we went camping and said, "Hey, everybody! Anybody interested in going to camping has to be at this briefing for it's a safety briefing, and we have to, make sure that you can use the equipment and things like that. So if you're interested in camping tonight, you've got to be there in 30 minutes." Okay, so we showed up. There were about 30 people that showed up to this briefing, and it was just, they were very, very real with what to expect. It could be super cold, it could be super windy, it will not be comfortable. Um, if you need to use the bathroom, we have basically a cube, a wooden cube with a hole cut in the top. And don't worry, it's in the distance, nobody will see you, but it will be uncomfortable. So, they really kind of play the picture of what it really could be. But let me tell you, once we got out there, there's no light. The only sound was a group of penguins that were kind of hanging out about 100 yards from us. So we heard the purr of all the penguins around. Um, we were told that because the weather was not expected to be the best, that we were not going to see any stars that night, that it was going to be completely overcast. Well, about an hour after we were there, we looked up, the sky had completely opened. I've never seen that many stars in my life. And I wish I would have been better prepared and had some images up for you that I could show you guys, because it was absolutely breathtaking. The best experience that I ever did. We spent about 2 or 3 hours just hanging out on the ice. Oh, I forgot to say that out of those 30 people that went to the briefing, 9 people actually showed up and did the actual camping, and it was amazing. We took photos, we hung out, we chatted, we got in our tents. A lot of people said that they don't sleep when they're out there on the ice, but apparently I slept really good because there was a calving of a glacier like right next to us for a full 2.5 minutes. And apparently it was very loud. And then when we woke up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning when they were coming to pick us up, the entire bay was covered in ice and icebergs that had just come off the glacier. So we found out later that we almost had to hike back to the place that we visited the day before because they weren't sure that the Zodiacs could get through the ice to come and pick us up. So it's all in the spirit of adventure, it's all in the spirit of flexibility, and it was just the most amazing experience. Now, on board the ship, some of the great things that we did there, my favorite was the polar plunge. And I know people are going to say that I'm crazy for doing it, but it was such a neat experience. Everybody gets dressed up in their nicest bathing suit and bathrobe, and we lined up and we all got to the platform. The first 2 people that do it get the best experience because at that point, the little strap that they put around your waist isn't wet yet. So everybody beyond those first 2 people that jump, because there's 2 straps, got to put an ice cold wet strap around their waist, and they'll strap you on. There's a rope tied around you. Now they're going to lie to you on the platform and tell you the further out that you jump, the warmer the water is. Do not believe them if you do the polar plunge, because that is not true. The water is 28 degrees no matter where you jump into it. But it is refreshing to say the least. I've never gotten out of water so quickly. It probably took me about 2 to 3 seconds to make it back up onto that platform. Um, have no fear though, they'll give you a nice warm towel and a shot after as well. So they had
I
tequila,
was going to
rum,
say
and
something to
vodka
make
lined up ready to go. Yep.
Oh, thank you so
But
much for sharing those, Justin. A
one
lot
thing
of
that I kind of
the,
want to add to that, just the
yeah,
really the highlight, the best part of it was the connections that we made. Um, we had 134 guests sailing with us on that voyage. We've already had guests come and visit us. We've kept in touch with many people that we met on board. It's truly lifelong connections that you make, and it's such a unique experience that I have gotten the opportunity to share with everyone. So thank you. I just wanted to add that.
no, I appreciate you adding that little detail because you're right. I mean, who else can say that they've done these, that they had to stay a night and they almost had to climb back up to get back to the ship. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And I know you touched on it a little bit and you said, this is for the adventurer, right? Well, let's say there's still clients who want to experience Atlas, but they're not so much into the adventurous part. Could you talk about different activities that might not be as physically demanding, right? Or doesn't put you, out in the elements if that's not really how you want to vacation, but you still want to be on board with Atlas. Just talk about like qualifying clients.
Oh, perfect. Yes. So for especially Antarctica, when you're qualifying clients, you want them to be able to have some mobility. We don't have the ability for electric wheelchairs on board. We do allow the collapsible wheelchairs. However, guests will need to be able to climb at least one flight of stairs unassisted, and be able to get on and off the Zodiacs without being assisted as well. And that's really for the safety of the guest and for the best experience. Now, if they're able to do that, once on shore, there's different levels of exertion that you can do. If you don't want to, hike up to the top of the hill there, you can sort of meander around the shore area where it's a little bit more flat and less treacherous. You can also stay on board as well. So if there's a spot that you don't want to actually get off and visit with the penguins or whatnot, you don't have to. I would say that our average age on board is between 45, 55. It does skew a little bit younger, and that's due to the adventurous nature of it. I've seen guests on board in their 80s. I've seen guests in their single digits. The minimum age for our polar itineraries is 8 years old, and that's due to the safety of getting on and off zodiacs and doing zodiac landings. Now, our other types of itineraries, so either cultural or Epicurean expeditions, are a much more leisurely. They can be a much more leisurely type of expedition, where the focus is not so much on the adventure and hiking and being in the snow and the hills and all that, and where you're going to have a much more focus on the food, wine, and gastronomy. So that might be a better fit if you have somebody that's less mobile and less able to do the hiking and whatnot. So we've got different types of itineraries, but really it's up to your clients as far as what they're comfortable being able to do on land.
No, that's perfect here. And so that means, yes, they can do the Antarctica one, but
Oh yeah,
if they don't want to go outside, that's completely okay. But they have to do the polar plunge.
it's not a requirement, but I definitely recommend it.
No, that is so good. Well, Justin, thank you so much again for a great presentation. I want to pass along the compliments that you're getting.
Okay,
Excuse
thank
me,
you.
the compliments that you're getting. You have been, amazing for this last 48 minutes. We do have a couple extra minutes here if you want to just leave our attendees with some lasting thoughts while they go off and they learn more about Atlas and hopefully get a lot of their clients on board.
Absolutely. Here at Atlas Ocean Voyages, we definitely are service focused. You have a nice high-end luxury experience on board with that unique expedition experience on land. There's an expedition for everyone. So when you qualify your clients and you're ready to book them with us, please reach out. We're here to help you. We're here to support you, and do what we can to help you close that sale. So utilize the help that you have. We're here for you. We would love to welcome you and your clients on board soon.
Great. Well, thank you again, Justin, and thank you to all of our advisors who joined us for another webinar this week. And we hope to see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, and thank everyone too.